Hello, hello, hello. It's Wednesday, and you know what this means. It's time for another edition of the Big D podcast. Before I bring in the night's special guest, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page where you see all my content. We've got a bunch coming up. It's Thanksgiving next week, so get your turkeys ready. And I've got some football content coming out next week. And also check out the Big D podcast on Spotify and Apple. So joining me from Phoenix, Arizona tonight is my friend Kelly Singh. Kelly, well, she's writes, golfs, contributes, a little bit of everything, and most importantly, she is quite possibly one of, if not the biggest Arizona Cardinal fans I know. So Kelly, welcome and pleased to meet you and see you.
Hi, it's so great to be here. Thank you for having me. And how can you help but not be a Cardinals fan?
Hey, I mean, this year I love to be an Arizona Cardinal fan because watching the Colts play football this year has been a joy. I mean, Kyler has been one of my favorite players to watch. I remember him at Oklahoma. I knew he'd be a stud with Cliff Kingsbury, and wow, I didn't think he'd be this good.
Now look at it. Yep.
Now, if only he could stay healthy.
I think it's just a little blip on the radar.
I mean, everybody gets bump and bruises doing a 17 game season now. I mean, nobody's 100%. I mean, even Russell Wilson missed time. I mean, Russell Wilson, Mr. Indestructible, missed time.
Well, it happens from time to time, just like you said. Everybody needs a break. I think that's all it is right now. Just a little siesta, a little rest.
Yeah, so before we talk about this year's squad, I wanted to talk about your long-time history at the Cardinals. So, when's your earliest football memory as a fan?
My earliest football memory as a fan. Well, I actually started liking fantasy football before I even started liking a team. My earliest memories are playing fantasy football with my dad on paper and pen and pencil, and all his friends would come over and they would draft their teams, and it was fascinating to me, and I thought it was so cool to just cheer for the guys on the list, right? So not necessarily for a team, but the guys on that list, and it kind of stuck with me all the way through adulthood, until you start to have an affinity for where you live. You love where you live. We got a team. And this household, my husband's from Baltimore. So I have to have two favorite teams. But yeah, that's my earliest memory, is just sitting, watching my dad do that with his friends. Just, and now we have apps and everything to keep us in order.
Yeah, how do you keep track of like the PPO score and like who scored a touchdown here? And like where was Yahoo, Sleeper, and all these apps back when you started fantasy football?
I have no idea how they did it. It was just fascinating to me, and it was really fun to watch, and it instilled a love of the game more so than just a love of a team, like I mentioned.
Did you win?
I didn't necessarily play. Like, he let me, I was small. He let me like co-manage with him, but my dad won a lot. He passed away in 2015, and then his teammates from both fantasy baseball and fantasy football brought like his trophies and everything to the memorial, and it was so nice. That was something that he was really passionate about.
I can attest back in the day when I lived just up the road in Fort Myers, Florida. I won the first 2 years of the Seminole Baseball League, and I got this big trophy. And the guy and every time one of them came to my house, I showed them the trophy. And 2013. The only person's name on it was mine.
Well, that is something. That's definitely something to be proud of. I mean, I've won my share of leagues over the years, so that's been it's definitely something to be proud of. I don't think I'm going to win any this year, but that's okay.
Yeah, so when was the first time you really paid attention to the Arizona Cardinals?
Okay. I would probably say in my high school years, so in the 90s, late 90s, I really started paying attention to the Cardinals and following along more closely because at the time it was here in Phoenix, you were either a Cardinals fan or you were going to be a Cowboys fan. There were so
Yeah.
many Cowboys fans in Phoenix. And I just love Phoenix. I've embraced it. I love everything about it. I always have. So I would say that was probably when I really started paying attention, wanting to go to games, wanting to watch every game.
Hey, I remember the Arizona Cardinals shocking the Dallas Cowboys in a playoff game. I'm trying to remember, 98 or 99. I don't remember what year it was.
That sounds about right. Like right about the height of the hysteria. And starter jackets. Everybody had to have a starter jacket, the puffy ones with the logo.
Yeah, I think Troy Aikman was actually still playing for the Cowboys. I think Aikman and Emmitt Smith, maybe even Irvin was playing. That was before Emmitt Smith became an Arizona Cardinal of all things, which may have been the oddest look I've ever seen.
You're
Emmitt
probably
Smith
right.
in red.
Those were good times.
Yeah. And I know maybe one time that was better. How about in 2004, we had drafted a certain Larry Fitzgerald out of Pittsburgh with the number 3 pick in that year's draft. Everybody remembers Eli Manning, Philip Rivers, and Ben Roethlisberger.
Right.
But for an Arizona Cardinal fan like you probably remember the Fitz draft.
Fitzgerald has been really amazing for Arizona and for Phoenix. He's a really great human being as well as he was a great football player. It was hard to see him not come back this season.
I mean, it seems weird not having Larry Fitzgerald on the field because I remember that playoff run when he almost single-handedly carried you to the Super Bowl, making leaping catches, running by everybody, and I'm like, wow.
It's superhuman. It's amazing. I think he really set the bar for some of these, younger ones now coming up that are making these catches because he made it look easy. But obviously it's not. And everybody, I think, aspires to be that now, be that Larry Fitzgerald, make those catches.
Yeah, so before the Arizona's run to Super Bowl 43, A, did you think the Colts would ever make a Super Bowl? And B, head into the playoffs, did you think Arizona possess any chance of winning the NFC?
I'll say no. I mean, it's not always easy being a Cardinals fan. And there are times over the years where it's just like, ugh. But I think every team goes through that. But no, I wouldn't have expected that at all. It's so exciting though, obviously, when it happens.
I mean, because a lot of people thought that the Atlanta Falcons would have. Be honest, I don't know if I actually predicted, but I thought the Atlanta Falcons would beat your Cardinals in that wild card game, and then you played Carolina with Jake Delhomme throwing like 3, 4, 5 interceptions. And then you played Donovan McNabb, and guess what Donovan McNabb did except It's in all but one of his NFC title games. He lost
Lost.
to the
Yeah,
Arizona Cardinals.
I feel like this happens a lot with, I don't want to just say Phoenix sports, but it feels like it happens a lot when the city just rallies and comes around, because a lot of people feel like Phoenix and Arizona fans are fair weather fans, and I don't think that's too far off. So when the city and the state really does come around and rally, we do it big. And I think it really fills the hearts of the players, and everybody wants to do it.
I mean, people may think of Phoenix as like a transient area because so many people are moving there, but as you proved in 2008, or the Suns proved last year on their trek to the NBA Finals, Phoenix can be a great sports market and a difficult place to play because you get 70,000 fans in a dome stadium, and guess what? They make noise.
Yeah, they make noise. And I think when there is a big playoff, when there's a championship on the line, even people who are here visiting, that don't live here full time, you can't help but be excited and cheer along. It's just electric. It's exciting.
Here's an interesting question. Were you in Tampa for the Super Bowl?
I was not, no. That
You,
would have been really exciting, but no.
did you consider going?
No, the tickets, they make them so expensive. And at the time that was just out of reach for me. But if I ever had the opportunity again, I definitely will.
They were probably out of reach because all the Steeler fans took them.
Probably. It's a long way for Arizona people to make their way. We're not the most traveling fan base.
And plus, it's not like Arizona is right. And plus, it's not like Arizona's right next door to Tampa. Would have been good for me.
Yes, it would have. You just walk on over.
Yeah, I'm literally 2.5 hours from Raymond James Stadium. Get on I-75 and be there in no time when there's no traffic, but there's always traffic in Florida. So remembering the game, and I'm thinking that James Harrison pick six at the end of the first half was one of the craziest plays I've ever seen, because you're thinking you're going to score a touchdown, and then Warner threw a pick six, and Henderson made one of the craziest efforts running back, and then Fitzgerald actually came from out of bounds and almost tackled Harrison. I think Fitz was called for a penalty because he went out of bounds and was the first to tackle Harrison. Was that the craziest play you had ever seen in a Super Bowl?
I would say so. And also because you get so wrapped up in the game, or at least I do. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, there's no penalty. What? Like, you just get so wrapped up, and you want the call to go your way. That makes it extra crazy.
I mean,
what about you? Was that the craziest play you think you've ever seen in a Super Bowl?
that was one of the craziest plays. I'm not going to say which play. The one, actually, probably the one in Glendale the previous year with the David Tyree helmet catch might have been the craziest one.
That was pretty crazy.
I mean, I'm not sure how Kyrie stuck the ball to his helmet with Rodney Harrison on him. And the funny thing is, I think that was David Tyree's last catch in the NFL.
Oh my goodness. No, was it?
Hey, that's a way to go out.
That's memorable for sure.
That's a way to go out.
Yes.
So then took a few years, but then Arizona made a run with Carson Palmer, and guess who? Larry Fitzgerald. You beat Aaron Rodgers. What else is new? In another crazy playoff game where Rodgers threw 2 Hail Marys, and then And then Fish scored a game-winning touchdown in overtime to send you guys on to another NFC title game. This time things didn't go well against Cam
No,
Newton,
they
but
didn't.
it showed A, Bruce Arians was a great coach. B, Carson Palmer could still possess an arm, and C, it showed that Larry Fitzgerald is a Hall of Fame caliber receiver because he did with Warner in '08 and Carson Palmer.
Yeah, I mean that was hard to beat. I mean, you didn't necessarily think that was going to be a great combination, but it turned out to be a great combination. And Bruce Arians is a really great coach. I was actually sad to see him go.
Although Bruce Arians finally got his Super Bowl ring with the Bucs with Tom Brady last year, so I bet that probably made you feel a little happy, probably a little bittersweet, maybe.
It feels good to see somebody that you enjoyed watching succeed. Yeah, for sure.
So now the Arizona Cardinals are through 10 games, all 8-2. You lead the NFC West this year. The question, I mean, we love watching Kyler Murray play. I mean, he's a pinball anytime he gets the football. I mean, do you think Kyler Murray plays this week against Seattle, or will Cliff Kingsbury and company rest him and maybe have him come back after the Week 12 bye?
I think Kyler Murray will want to play. It's going to depend on how much they listen to him, but I get the feeling, just the buzz around town is that they want to wait till after the bye just to give him that extra rest, because they're playing Seattle. It might not be necessary for Kyler to be in, although it's not a game we want to lose either. My feeling is that he'll probably wait till after the bye, but these days it seems like quarterbacks can push back a lot, and sometimes they get their way. They get back in maybe too soon. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it depends on how healthy and mobile Kyler is, because if Kyler's not mobile in practice, you don't play. But if Kyler's feeling all right, I mean, it might also depend on what the weather is, because if the weather's all kinds of, what in Seattle, maybe. Plus, that's a turf field. And generally, if you've got a low extremity injury, you'd probably rather play on grass because that's a little less aggravating than on a turf surface. So
Yeah, that's a great point. I hadn't even thought about that, but you're right. Less opportunity probably slip too.
yeah, and plus the I mean, if you're playing the Rams this weekend or like the Dallas Cowboys, Kyler's playing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm thinking, being that it's Seattle, they might just wait it out. There's no sense in bringing him back too early and risking additional injury. But that weather, I hadn't even thought of. That's an excellent point.
Yeah. No matter whether Kyler plays this week or not, I'm thinking a certain James Conner might be a focal point of the offense.
Yeah.
How big has Conner been this year? Because, I mean, how many touchdowns he scored this year? What, 11, 12?
Yeah, I think
leading the NFL in touchdowns. Yeah. Who picked James? Yeah. I want to see a James Conner leading the NFL in touchdown ticket.
It's amazing. It's so exciting. It's also really interesting dynamic on the team though, because we have Chase Edmonds, we have Kirk, we have Connor, and they all play so well together. And we can't forget DeAndre Hopkins, obviously. But since he's been injured, I feel like the other players have all kind of rallied. They play so well together, and it's not just one guy out there scoring touchdowns and making plays. They all have a role, And I don't know that you see that on a lot of teams where there's so many people that have pivotal roles. That's something I really enjoy about the Cardinals.
I also think this Arizona staff made a couple interesting decisions in the offseason because they went out and got AJ Green, JJ Watt, James Conner. You got men. Arizona could put up points, but you need men in the playoffs. I mean, look at who made plays for Tampa in the Super Bowl. Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaquille Barrett, Ndamukong Suh, and Tony Brown. You need dudes.
Yeah.
Arizona didn't have dudes. Now you've got
No.
dudes. Unfortunately, JJ Watt may or may not be done for the season with another injury.
Another injury.
Yeah,
Yes.
but Connor's still playing well. Hopefully Hopkins is back off his bum wheel because he's a nightmare. Because talk about a tough receiver, DeAndre Hopkins go over the field and make anything.
Yep.
And he never drops the ball.
No, he doesn't. He's very reliable. He knows how to get up and make those catches. He's probably the most electric, exciting player to watch, I think.
I mean, I think DeAndre Hopkins, they're faster receivers, but if I needed a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, DeAndre Hopkins might be one of the guys I want. Probably Travis Kelce. Trying to think who else I want for that first. Maybe Jason Witten back in the day in his prime, but DeAndre Hopkins in that group because he'll run across the middle, get 6 yards, first down, 2 more minutes off the clock.
Yeah. Yep. He's going to make the play. I feel like that too. Well, not to bring Baltimore back in the picture, but I feel like that too about Mark Andrews when he gets the ball. Like he's going to make the play.
That too.
Mhm.
Like he'll get 7 on 3rd and 6, and it's like, darn it, we can't defend him.
Those are the kinds of players I enjoy watching for sure.
Yeah. So now stepping away from you, Cardinals for a sec, who are your favorite Week 11 DFS and fantasy players to target?
So I've been thinking about this, and now that it's been announced that Flacco is probably going to play.
Oh gosh, not Joe Flacco. God.
I think that he should have retired before Denver, personally, but I think he could be a great value play for DFS. So I'm kind of excited about that to free up some bankroll there and still have a quality quarterback. He's elite. He's kind of like a little bit of a cardboard cutout these days, but I think I'm going to play Flacco. Then I think we've got Devontae Freeman has been racking up quite a few points, yards. He's in there. He's aggressive, not super expensive either. And I'm going to throw in Hunter Renfrow probably as well. Those are the 3 right now. And then I know that I'm going to have to spend big bucks to make up the rest of those points. What do you think?
I got a couple of values for you. How about Michael Gallup? Dallas and Kansas City games projected for 56 points. And I don't know if you've seen the Cowboys play this year, but Dak Prescott's pretty good.
The Kansas City defense is not great.
Let's just say you could do better than the Chief defense. And if Dak's healthy and Dak's cap looks fine against the Falcons, I'm not worried about the Kansas City weather. I'm not worried about the Kansas City defense. I think Michael Gallup is poised for a breakout game this year. Even last week with Dallas had 43-3, he got 5 targets. So if the Chiefs can keep this game somewhat competitive, I think Gallup could get 7 or 8 targets, and all he needs is one play, and bam, gone.
Yeah. I'm going to write that down. I'm taking notes from you now.
And let me see if I can. The I know in the 6 game range we've talked about James Conner, but AJ Dillon seems too cheap for not just his role in the rushing game for Green Bay, but as a pass receiver. He caught a 50-yarder last week against the Seahawks. I mean, he rushed the ball 21 times, scored Green Bay's only touchdowns. And I really think Green Bay relies heavily on Dillon and probably a good combination of Devontae Adams. So I really like Dillon this weekend. I'm not just saying it because my name is Dillon. I'm saying it because AJ Dillon should be productive.
Not Dillon's United.
If I would have been Dillon United, that would have been the name of my fantasy football team.
I love that.
I
feel maybe he's less expensive right now. Maybe the volatility of his play. Maybe, I don't know. That's usually the only thing I can think of.
I mean, week 10 was a crazy week for value with Dearness Johnson, Mark Ingram. I mean, if you didn't play those guys in DFS, I'm not sure what you were thinking.
Mark Ingram, I love him. I think he is a great player. I'm really excited for him to be in New Orleans. And he broke Deuce McAllister's franchise rushing yard record last week. I did not know that, but I do know that he looks very happy, and that's the fun part of football.
Let's just say this: he's a heck of a lot happier than Brandon Cooks is right now.
That's true. True.
I'd rather play in New Orleans than play with Tyrod Taylor and all the other Texans. Basically, Brandon Cooks and everyone else.
It's rough.
So, as I've done with a lot of my guests, I've got a fun trivia question for you, and this is Arizona Cardinals related.
I'm terrible at trivia. Let's go.
What Arizona Cardinals receiver racked up a week 1 best 217 receiving yards in his NFL debut?
I just keep thinking about like the best players, and like part of me wants to say Fitzgerald, and then the other part of me wants to say Hopkins. I wanted to Google this, but I didn't want to cheat. So I'm just going to guess DeAndre Hopkins.
Actually, it was most receiving yards by a rookie in his first game. Most receiving yards by a rookie in his first game. You want a hint?
Yes.
My guy was drafted the year before you drafted Larry Fitzgerald.
Bolden.
Anquan Boldin.
Woo!
Dang it!
I had to think about that one for a second. The hint definitely helped.
Talk about a tough receiver. I'm not sure if anybody was tougher than Anquan. He came back in 2 weeks after that facial injury against the Jets, what looked like he was dead on the field. I'm not sure if that was Giants Stadium or MetLife.
I don't know either.
But
I do keep seeing in the background all of your medals. You have a lot of medals. Do you ever talk about that on your show?
I might later this week.
Okay. I'm going to tune in because I'm really interested in that.
I've only competed in 25 5Ks. Make that 26 as of Thanksgiving morning.
Turkey trot.
Yeah, the Gobbler 5K at my at FGCU this Thanksgiving.
That's really awesome. So I hope you talk about that on an upcoming show because I want to hear the backstory.
Oh, I will talk about it.
Okay.
Thanks for hopping on, Kelly. We wish you Cardinals well, and Hopefully, and maybe Arizona makes some run at a Super Bowl in LA.